Hello, my name is Hidden Kaiser, the creator of Crystal Anti-Cheat. In this video, we will be going over how to install Crystal Anti-Cheat into your game, set up permissions, and then finally show you how to configure Crystal Anti-Cheat for your needs. So to start off, we're going to go to download in the buyers section once you get the buyers role. If you have Crystal Emerald, it's the same download. So once we do that, we install that. Open that from that folder, just find it in there. So now we have it in there, shown up. And then we go to, we're just going to create a new base plate for this example. So now we grab our crystal file and we drag it into the other window. Now we see we have it in here, we drag it into server script storage. So the first thing we need to do is make sure, if we go to game settings, well, I actually need to publish first, so let me just publish this as Crystal Anti-Cheat Test. And then we do that. We go to the game settings, security, allow HTTP requests, and enable Studio access to API services if you don't want it to spam your output in Studio. Now, if we play the game, it's going to say required Crystal Anti-Cheat public because everything succeeded. If this says error failed, owner is not verified, please contact me and I will try to get you some help. You can also transfer your whitelist with transfer key request every month, once per month, and that is how you get whitelisted. So after this, I'm going to show you now how to set up permissions. So to set up permissions, we need to go to group and user, just extend that. And these are permissions for either if you want to set up a group or a user. So first we're going to see how to set up a user. So to set up a user for a whitelist, you want to go to their profile. And in this link up here, these numbers, that's your user ID. So that's what we want to put in the user ID section. So now, there is an admin equals true, and that will make sure everything is ignored besides save instance if you have that toggled off. And you can choose which stuff you want to disable. If you want everything to be enabled, or if you want everything to be enabled, just leave nil. AKA just do that. But if you want to disable something, just do something like, how do you say, how about remote spy equals false. And that will, and if the admin is true, this won't even matter. But if we turn that off, every permission but remote spy will be applied to us. So we will not get kicked for remote spy. Otherwise, we will get kicked for everything. So we're just going to leave that blank because we're an admin. We're ignored by that. And also we're going to name this Hidden Kaiser just because that's my user ID in there. Might as well. So now that we do that, Crystal Anti-Cheat will not be applied to us and we will not get kicked for using it. So yeah, that will apply if you're using admin or anything. So if I just were to drag in like HD admin and then fly, it would not affect it. Just to show you, oh, wrong prefix, fly. I do not have permission to use fly even though I'm a game owner. Alright, anyways, since HD admin is bad, I'm not going to use that example. But now we're going to set up a group. So the group I'm going to be setting up today is, for this group, just a random group I own from one of my histories. Pretty much the same thing with getting the user ID. To get the group ID, just copy that number up there. That is your group ID. Open up this. We're just going to rename this up to test group. It doesn't matter what you name it. It will still work. If you want to disable it, just remove the group ID. If you want everyone above this rank and besides these ranks, just leave this empty to not do anything. They will be an admin. If you want to do false, you also, just like the user ID, get access to these, which is just the same thing. But we want everything to be enabled just for the test. And yeah, and we can also just remove that because it's pretty much useless. Also, make sure you have a semicolon after each line in settings as well, because if you don't, it may break the script. So after we do this, we can close out of that. And now I'm going to show you how to use the settings. So first we open up the settings and we can see here, true means the feature is enabled, false means the feature is disabled, and these numbers are numbers, just to change what you want. Make sure there's a semicolon after all the lines, besides lines like these, which are opening. So let's go down the list. This is ban duration. It's measured in hours. So right now it's for 24 hours. If you get warned 3 times, you will get banned. If you wanted to make 0 kicks or whatever, you can either make this math.huge, which will basically mean infinity, or you can make this 0. But then you might get 2 webhooks if you do that way. So we're just going to control Z that, keep it how it is. These are your chances. This is the max amount of times a player can be flagged for exploiting. So let's say I was no clipping through this part. I went through this, I got flagged for exploiting, but if I was actually using exploits, it would fire every heart physics. Yeah, you get it. It would kick you for a no clip right away. But if you maybe accidentally clip the side and somehow set something off, it would only give you 1 because you weren't actually just blatantly going through it. So yeah, run in studio just means, will the anti-cheat run in studio? Will it save in studio? Will a warning save when you get kicked in studio? And that's false by default. Run in private server just means, does it run in the private server? Also, global ban bans players from every server. If this is false, it will just ban from the server, the one server. The data store name, this is very important. If you want to change this, say if we change this to 2, it would reset every player's warnings and bans and unban everyone. So either be careful with that, or change that at your will. Ignore owner, this just sets up your permissions for you automatically. This is by default true. Adonis admins, if we were to drag Adonis in here, basically it just means it's everyone with admin. That's right. Everyone with admin in the game does not get detected by the anti-cheat. Testing mode, this just ignores Adonis, all these permissions, and just disables ignoring for everyone. Vocal, this just prints out in the output F9 developer console when someone gets kicked. Startup delay, this is pretty much useless. If you just want to find errors in Crystal, just put this up, and mostly if your output is being spammed. Yeah. Upload ban, this uploads warns and bans to Discord. And I'll show you an example here with our testing game White Hook. I haven't got banned yet, but it would be red and tell me how long I was banned for. This also gives me none. So from settings for these webhooks, if we were to turn this off, or turn this off, the game link would not appear. It would not even show that. If we were to make the thumbnail not Crystal logo, which is usually how it goes, if we just remove that, if you do this, you get this logo. Otherwise, you get nothing. If you just make this empty, you get nothing. UTC offset, I wouldn't touch this since Discord decided to actually format it for you. And webhook link. So I'm going to teach you how to set up a webhook right now. It's pretty easy. You go to, actually, you don't go to the server settings or your own settings. You go to edit channel, integrations, webhooks, new webhook. We're just going to keep it as captain hook. And we're going to copy that webhook URL. And we're going to paste it into there. And then that will be all set up for us. Won't error or anything. It will just send that to you. Easy as that. You'll be able to get quick like that. So now I'm going to delete it so y'all don't spam my webhooks because that is not good. And also do not share this URL with anybody you do not trust. Alright, so now coming back to here, we're going to turn that on again because, you know, that's good. So Crystal logo on join, this is mostly if you just want people to be aware that Crystal Anti-Cheat is in your game and that it is running. And if we turn that to true, at the beginning of the game, it just appears. Not appearing right now. There we go. And then it just goes away after a little bit. Just like that, pretty simple. Mostly if you just want to support Crystal Anti-Cheat by saying like, oh, yeah, I can, this is an anti-cheat I can buy, you know. Kick notifications. When someone gets kicked, I have a GIF somewhere. Let me find it. I think it's in teasers. Yeah, this. So this logo is not a part of Crystal. But yeah, basically this just appears in the bottom left. You know, someone got kicked. Oh, blue. Notify all. This just, if you turn that to true, it notifies everyone besides just admins, because this will only just notify admins if this is disabled. So now this is down to features enabled. These are settings for Crystal Emerald. I'll get back to this, but basically if you want to turn anything off, just press false. These comments give a general idea of what's going on, but you've got all your features here. Just change one of them to false if you want to disable it by default. The thing about permissions though is that they can override this if you want to override it. Otherwise we'll just go to default. So now your feature settings, this is where it's important. If you don't change your walk speed on the client for anything like a sprint script, you can just change that to 0 and it will detect walk speed hacks. Otherwise, I keep this at about 40 because some sprint places, they sprint up on the client and they just make it go up to like 30 or so, however fast your sprinting is. Jump power, this could just be 0, same thing. It will catch people changing their jump power, which is more rare, but it still happens. Magnitude leeway, if your players are being kicked for teleportation or discrepancies detected in movement, you might want to up this a bit. This usually shouldn't happen though, as I found this is a good way. Flying time, how long a player has to be flying to actually be kicked. Fly check amount. So there's a thing called physics service where you can make players not collide with each other. And sometimes if there's a lot of like parts and hats and morphs and stuff, it will I have a limit on it, so it just doesn't keep lagging in your computer and stuff. So that's about 8 right now. You can up that if players are getting kicked for that. If they're like standing inside another player and they're getting kicked. Ignore checks while sitting. This is highly recommended because of how seats work. Because if you put a seat down, it will just completely mess up the velocity and you'll probably get kicked for teleportation if you're in a vehicle. No clip check amount, same thing as fly check amount basically, but it's the same. It's for no clip checks physics service. Basically this is just for fly as well, but it's named for no clip mostly because of how it works. Just how I described it earlier. Detect no clips in all states. This is literally probably will get some people false kicked, so there's really no reason for it to be set to true, But if you want to set it to true, sure, go ahead. It might just detect randomly. Stop save instance globally. This applies to admins and stuff. If you don't want your games to be stolen by an admin, keep this at true. You might as well just keep this to true, honestly. This is detection settings, which is a bit complicated. By the way, these are all for Crystal Anti-Cheat, Emerald. Exploit injection time I wouldn't really mess with these settings, by the way, just because they're set up to catch exploits. And if you set this up, you might not catch it, or if you lower it, it might false kick. Smart detection, this is very highly recommended. I don't think you should ever turn this off, but some games you might need to. This is the settings for action log. It looks for actions like usually taken before injecting an exploit. Client discrepancies, if we detect something that tells us that they're exploiting, we'll just kick them, basically. Can close clients, this is basically, will you crash it? And it's set to not is studio, just because of, if you crash it in studio, you might lose all your work and stuff, and you don't want that. Just on the small chance. Ignore TP to ignored. This is actually supposed to be ignore TP to admins. I need to update that, but basically this just means if you're teleporting to an admin or you brought someone, they don't get kicked if they're within this distance of you. Connection timeout, if a player stops responding for 12 seconds or whatever, or whatever this number is, it will kick you. This is mostly to catch exploiters deleting scripts or whatever, anything like that of the sort. Somehow bypassed it. So yeah, that's it. This also works if someone were to just lag their game purposely, because there would be no reason for a player to lag like that for more than 12 seconds really. That's basically all of the settings. If you have any questions, please contact me or go to the support channels. You've got feature request, bug report, and issue FAQ if you're getting confused by stuff. There's also more directions for setting up webhooks. And that's basically it. That's how you set up Crystal Anti-Cheat with your game. Thank you.